Hello everyone, I'm Bhavika Jain and today I'm going to tell you a new topic in history which is what, where, how and when. Before starting, have you ever imagined why should we study history? What is the use of history in our life? No. So in this topic, I will tell you what is history, why should we study history, where did the people live, how did the people lived in early days, what did they do, what was their food, and what did they use in early days. Let's start. History. History is the chronological accounts of events as they took place in the past. History is something that tells us about the past. Why? Why should we study history? We should study history because they tell us about our past, about our ancient culture and lifestyles. What did the people wear, how they eat food, what were their food, etc. And they also help us to solve the problems of the present day. Where did the people live? The people live mostly near the river valleys. They live near the river valleys because the river provides them water for all the purposes like clothing, bathing, eating, cooking food, etc. near the banks of Narmada River, along with the river Ganga and its tributaries like Son, Chambal, etc. Areas of Suleiman and Kirthar Hills, Garo Hills in the northeast, Vindhyas in the central India, and the Himalayan mountain. The Himalayan mountain acted as a natural barrier between India and Central Asia since ages. Here are the places where the people mostly lived. People lived along the banks of Narmada River for several thousand years, and they are called gatherers. The gatherers collected the food and also hunted animals. They also lived near the Suleiman and Kirthar Hills, which are located near the northwest. They were the first to begin the crop wheat and barley around 8,000 years ago. They started rearing the animals like sheep, goat, cattle. They lived in villages. Garo Hills are located near the northeast and Vindhyas in the central India. Other areas of agriculture were the Garo Hills and the Vindhyas. The Vindhyas was the first to grow the crop rice. Indus and its tributaries. Indus is located in the northwest near the Suleiman and Kirthar Hills. It is around 4,700 years ago. It is the earliest city flourished by the banks of river Ganga. Ganga and its tributary Son was around 2,500 years ago. These cities started developing. South of Ganga was the Magad. The Magad was the largest kingdom and its ruler were very powerful. It was also the first kingdom. Here, as you can see, this is the map of India. Here is the Kirthar and the Suleiman in the northwest. The Indus River flows here and in the northwest. Here is the Thar Desert. This is the tributary of Ganga, Chambal, Son, and here is the Ganga near the Himalayas in the central India. Here is Vindhyas and Narmada in the central India. The Garo Hills is located in the northeast. Here, the Vindhyas were the first to grow the crop rice, and the Kirthar and Suleiman were the first to grow the two crops wheat and barley around 8,000 years ago. Here, as you can see, Himalayas in the northeast. It acted as a natural barrier between the Asia and the India. Here you can see the Suleiman and Ketar hills. They started growing the wheat crops and the barley crops. They are located in the northwest. Here you can see Ganga and its tributary Sun. This is the largest kingdom, Magad, and in the south of Ganga. Its ruler is very powerful and it is the largest kingdom. This is Thar Desert, Himalayas, which act as a barrier, Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal. Here you can see India. India is covered by all of them. Why? Sources of food. And why they live here? People collected roots, fruits and other forest products for their food and also hunted animals like lion, tiger and eat their flesh. The two crops, wheat and barley, were grown in the Suleiman and Ketar hills, which are near the northwest region around 8,000 years ago. The region of Garo hills to the northeast and Vindhyas in the central India were developed the rice production around 2,500 years ago. Development of cities. Why they developed the cities? And how? The river Indus and its tributaries were responsible for flourishing of the earliest cities. In the later period, the cities developed over the banks of river Ganga and its tributaries like Son, Chambal, Yamuna river, which is in the central India and near the northeast. They live here so that they can get water for daily life purposes like bathing, etc. The city developed to the south of the river Ganga over the banks of its tributaries was considered as the most powerful Magad, and its rulers were powerful and set a very large kingdom. Why did the people travel? The people travel like Greece and Iran travel India in search of food and livelihood to escape from natural calamities like drought, floods, etc. To conquer other lands means to win the other kingdoms. For trade, basically the merchant traveled for the trade to earn money, to meet their relatives, to preach religion and spread knowledge. Religious teachers move in order to deliver their religious understanding to the people. Due to spirit of adventures, like some people want to adventure other countries, and traveling emerged as a strong accept of sharing ideas. As you can see here, there's some footprints of coming and going. How was the name India derived? Our country is called India and Bharat. Bharat was used by the people of northwest India. The word India comes from the river Indus, which is called Sindhu in Sanskrit. The Iranians and the Greek called as the Indos or Hindus. As you can see here, there are some footprints of Greek and Iran peoples. It is the Indus River, and from Indus River, the northwest people use it as Indos. The Greek and the Iranians call the religion in East of the Indus River as India. Here you can see it is our India. Here is the Greek and Iran. It is the Indus River from which the Indus come. Bharat. The word Bharat derived from Bharata, which was the people of northeast used us as Bharata and name us as Bharat. Here you can see around 8,000 years ago the Suleiman and Ketar hills the people lived near. Around 4,700 years ago the people lived near the Indus River. Around 2,500 years ago they lived near the Garo hills. How do we know about our past? We know about our past by the archaeologists and the historians. Archaeologists were the one who studied the past, the study of human history and prehistory through remains of sites and the analysis of physical remains of buildings. The buildings were made up of stone, bricks, and they also used sources like coin, tools, monuments, weapons, pots, as you can see here, some inscriptions and pans. These are the articulate coins. Literacy. Literally, handwritten or any other written records of the past. It includes religious and secular literature. Manuscript. Here, as you can see, manuscript. It is written on the palm leaves and the bark of the trees. These books dealt with the religious beliefs and practices, the life of kingdom, medicine, science were written on these manuscripts. Some of them are destroyed. Inscriptions. They were written on hard surfaces such as stone or metal and on the buildings. Orders of kings inscribed men and women records their activities on these inscription, as you can see here. Who studied sources of history? The sources of history are studied by the archaeologists and the historians. Archaeologists study the remains of buildings made up of stones, bricks, painting and sculptures, coins, etc. Historians were the people who studied the past and used information from the inscription, seals and the script like manuscript. Time frames of history. Historians use chronological sequence for a better understanding. They use the birth of Jesus has been taken as year 0. Any event before Christ is called the before Christ like BC, and any event after the birth of Jesus is called Anno Domini called AD. CE means Common Era. It is used instead of AD, which is known as Anno Domini, and BCE, which is known as Before Common Era, is used instead of Before Christ. Timeline of history. Timeline of history is divided into 3 stages. Prehistory means before past. Prohistory means between, and history. What do date means? The date means basically the BC is before Christ, which is also called as BCE, means before Common Era, and AD, which is known as Anno Domini, in the year of the Lord, and CE as Common Era. It is used by different people and in different countries. Decipherment. Decipherment. It is the process by which we interpret or discover the meaning of a secret message by the use of key and codes. Famous stories of decipherment comes from Egypt, a country in North Africa where there were kings and queens about 5,000 years ago, and Rosetta, a town on north coast of Egypt, found an inscribed stone which contained inscriptions in 3 languages and scripts, Greek and 2 forms of Egyptians. Scholars who read Greek figured out the names of kings and queens were enclosed in a little frame. Then they placed the Greeks and the Egyptian signs side by side and identified the sounds for which the Egyptian letters stood. As you can see here, for lion we use L, whereas for bird we use B, A, etc. Thank you. Hope you understand the lesson properly. Meet you in my next video. Bye bye.